for falling in love. Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. What is right is not always popular, and what's popular is not always right. Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. A question that sometimes drives me hazy: am I, or are the others, crazy? The only source of knowledge is experience. Common sense is the collection of prejudices acquired by age 18. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. There comes a time when the mind takes a higher plane of knowledge, but can never prove how it got there. Any man who reads too much and uses his own brain too little falls into lazy habits of thinking. Truth is what stands the test of experience. The most incomprehensible thing about the world is that it's comprehensible. Creativity is intelligence having fun. Human beings must have action, and they will make it if they cannot find it. Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. I think and think for months and years. 99 times, the conclusion is false. The 100th time, I am right. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better. To raise new questions, new possibilities, to regard old problems from a new angle, require creative imagination, and marks real advance in science. All religions, arts, and sciences are branches of the same tree. Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile. Never give up on what you really want to do. The person with big dreams is more powerful than the one with all the facts. Blind belief in authority is the greatest enemy of truth. I am thankful for all of those who said no to me. It's because of them I'm doing it myself. There are two ways to live. You can live as if nothing is a miracle. You can live as if everything is a miracle. The difference between genius and stupidity is that genius has its limits. Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. The mediocre mind is incapable of understanding the man who refuses to bow blindly to conventional prejudices and chooses instead to express his opinions courageously and honestly. Education is not the learning of facts. It's rather the training of the mind to think. Any intelligent fool can make things bigger and more complex. It takes a touch of genius and a lot of courage to move in the opposite direction. Weakness of attitude becomes weakness of character. A clever person solves a problem. A wise person avoids it. Information is not knowledge. The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. It is the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of true art and true science. Concern for man and his fate must always form the chief interest of all technical endeavors. Never forget this, in the midst of your diagrams and equations. Children are educated by what a grown-up is, and not by his talk. The greatest potential for growth and self-realization exists in the second half of life. Nothing has a stronger influence, psychologically, on their environment, and especially on their children, than the unlived life of the parents. Wisdom accepts that all things have two sides. Don't rush to help those who haven't asked you to, because not everyone who is drowning needs a hand, someone to drown. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The foundation of all mental illness is the unwillingness to experience legitimate suffering. No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. The healthy man does not torture others. Generally it is the tortured who turn into torturers. 12 experts gathered in one room equal one big idiot. The difference between a good life and a bad life is how well you walk through the fire. A dream that is not understood remains a mere occurrence. Understood, it becomes a living experience. The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it. Everyone you meet knows something you don't know, but need to know. Learn from them. A man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has never overcome them. He who is afraid needs dependence, as a weakened man needs support. A particularly beautiful woman is a source of terror. As a rule, a beautiful woman is a terrible disappointment. If a man knows more than others, he becomes lonely. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. In each of us, there is another, whom we do not know. If an attractive woman is single, it's because she is smarter than everyone else. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. What did you do as a child that made the hours pass like minutes? Herein lies the key to your earthly pursuits. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. The first half of life is devoted to forming a healthy ego. The second half is going inward and letting go of it. If the path before you is clear, you're probably on someone else's. Find out what a person fears most, and that is where he will develop next. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. We cannot change anything unless we accept it. Often, the hands will solve a mystery that the intellect has struggled with in vain. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Don't hold on to someone who's leaving, otherwise, you won't meet the one who's coming. If you are a gifted person, it doesn't mean you can give something away. The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for a living that suits all cases. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves. Talking is often a torment for me, and I need many days of silence to recover from the futility of words. Shame is a soul-eating emotion. It all depends on how we look at things, and not how they are in themselves. Shrinking away from death is something unhealthy and abnormal, which robs the second half of life of its purpose. An understanding heart is everything in a teacher, and cannot be esteemed highly enough. One looks back with appreciation to the brilliant teachers, but with gratitude to those who touched our human feeling. The curriculum is so much necessary raw material, but warmth is the vital element for the growing plant and for the soul of the child. Great talents are the most lovely, and often the most dangerous fruits, on the tree of humanity. They hang upon the most slender twigs, that are easily snapped off. Knowledge rests not upon truth alone, but upon error also. The debt we owe to the play of imagination is incalculable. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. To me, dreams are part of nature, which harbors no intention to deceive, but expresses something as best it can. To ask the right question is already half the solution of the problem. The rational attitude, which permits us to declare objective values as valid at all, is not the work of the individual subject, but the product of human history. The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct, acting from inner necessity. The creative mind plays with the objects it loves. Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, love is lacking. The one is the shadow of the other. That which compels us to create a substitute for ourselves is not the external lack of objects, but our incapacity to lovingly include a thing outside of ourselves. Creative powers can just as easily turn out to be destructive. It rests solely with the moral personality. I have always been impressed by the fact that there are a surprising number of individuals who never use their minds, if they can avoid it, and an equal number who do use their minds, but in an amazingly stupid way. Sometimes, indeed, there is such a discrepancy between the genius and his human qualities that one has to ask oneself whether a little less talent might not have been better. The capacity for directed thinking, I call intellect. The capacity for passive, or undirected thinking, I call intellectual intuition. I regret many follies, which sprang from my obstinacy. But without that trait, I would not have reached my goal. We should not pretend to understand the world only by the intellect. We apprehend it just as much by feeling. Therefore, the judgment of the intellect is at best only the half of truth, and must, if it be honest, also come to an understanding of its inadequacy. A special ability means a heavy expenditure of energy in a particular direction, with a consequent drain from some other side of life. Children are educated by what a grown-up is, and not